You want to understand the mind that feels nothing? You want to know how someone like me stays calm while everyone else collapses? Then listen carefully, because emotional control isn't a trick. It's not a mask. It's a weapon forged in silence, sharpened by pain, and perfected through detachment. People like to say, be yourself, express your emotions, open up. But the world doesn't reward emotions. It exploits them. The moment you show what you feel, you become predictable. And when you're predictable, you can be controlled. That's the first law of power. Never let your emotions reveal your intentions. Most people live as emotional puppets. They react to everything. One insult and they explode. One compliment and they melt. They're not in control. They're being controlled by whatever stimulus hits them first. But if you want dominance over yourself, over life, over chaos, you must become emotionally untouchable. That doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you observe it without letting it control you. The weak react. The strong calculate. That's what separates the controlled mind from the emotional slave. When you master your emotions, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop being the one who panics when things fall apart. You stop being the one who seeks validation just to feel worthy. You become silent. And in that silence, the world starts to fear you. Because people can't manipulate what they can't read. They can't predict someone who doesn't reveal. They can't win against someone who doesn't react. That's what emotional control truly is, freedom from manipulation. You see, society has trained you to believe that emotions equal humanity. But what they never told you is that uncontrolled emotion is the reason humanity stays weak. People destroy their dreams because of fear. They ruin relationships because of anger. They waste years because of guilt. They lose focus because of envy. Every downfall begins when emotion overpowers logic. But when you reverse that, when logic commands and emotion obeys, you unlock something rare. A calm that nothing can touch. A clarity that cuts through chaos. A confidence that doesn't need validation. That's why I say the calmest man always wins. Think about it. When two people argue, the one who stays calm holds the power. When life becomes chaos, the one who keeps composure makes the best decisions. When emotions rise, the one who remains still sees the truth while everyone else is blinded by rage or fear. That's how you rise above the masses, not by shouting louder, but by seeing clearer. But this kind of control doesn't come from pretending to be cold. It comes from understanding emotion and dismantling it. Let me explain. When you feel anger, it's because you've lost control of something. A situation, an expectation, a desire. When you feel fear, it's because your mind is projecting pain that hasn't even happened yet. When you feel jealousy, it's because your ego believes you deserve what someone else earned. All of these are illusions, self-created traps, and every time you fall for them, you hand over your power. But when you learn to observe them instead of reacting to them, everything changes. The emotion comes. You see it, but you don't flinch. You understand it's temporary. You let it pass through you, and in that moment, you win. Because control is not about avoiding emotion. It's about being unaffected by it. You don't need to be emotionless, you need to be emotionally dominant. You decide when to feel, what to feel, and how to express it. No one else does. That's what the psychopath's mind represents. Complete detachment from emotional chaos. It's not evil. It's clarity taken to its purest form. The world fears that level of control because it threatens the emotional order that keeps people submissive. When a man stops reacting, he becomes unpredictable. And unpredictable men can't be controlled. That's why people will call you cold when you stop caring about approval. They'll call you heartless when you stop reacting to their manipulation. They'll say you've changed when you stop letting emotions guide you. But that's not heartlessness. That's evolution. When you detach emotionally, you don't become less human, you become more efficient. You start seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. You start noticing patterns others miss because they're blinded by desire and emotion. You start winning, quietly, strategically, with precision. That's what emotional control truly grants, the ability to dominate life without needing to dominate people. But understand something, this isn't an overnight change. It's a war, a silent, internal war against your impulses. Every day, your emotions will try to pull you back into chaos. You'll want to react. You'll want to explain yourself. You'll want to prove your worth. That's the moment you practice control. That's the moment you remind yourself, I don't need to respond. I choose when and how to act. You train your mind the same way a swordsman sharpens his blade, with patience, repetition, and awareness. At first, it will feel unnatural. You'll feel empty. You'll think you're losing something. But that emptiness isn't loss, it's space. Space where clarity grows. Space where emotion turns into energy. Space where chaos turns into precision. The world is loud because weak minds need noise to drown their fear. But power lives in silence. In silence, you can hear every thought clearly. In silence, you can observe every emotion as it rises and fades. In silence, you start to see how people around you operate their weaknesses, their emotional triggers, their desperate need for validation. And then, you realize something powerful. Most people aren't thinking. They're just reacting to opinions, to fear, to desire. And that's why they never win. You can control them, not through manipulation, but through stillness. Because stillness makes people uncomfortable. They'll project emotion onto you. And when you don't react, they'll lose balance. That's when you truly see how fragile emotional beings are. This isn't about becoming a psychopath. It's about understanding their secret emotional control creates dominance. A true psychopath doesn't panic under pressure. He doesn't reveal his thoughts. He doesn't chase attention. He doesn't beg for understanding. He observes. He plans. He executes. You can learn from that. Not the cruelty, not the chaos, but the discipline of detachment. When you stop needing emotional reactions to feel alive, you become powerful beyond comprehension. Because now your actions are guided by thought, not impulse. Now you control when to attack, when to retreat, when to stay silent. And that's what makes the difference between average and elite, between slaves of emotion and masters of mind. You want to improve your life? Then stop expressing everything you feel. Stop posting every emotion online. Stop letting people know when you're angry, sad, or frustrated. Because every time you do, you hand them a map to your mind. Control your reactions, and you'll control your reality. Stay calm when others lose control, and you'll always hold the advantage. That's why emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's control disguised as silence. When you're emotionally disciplined, you stop being a victim of mood swings. You don't depend on motivation. You don't collapse from criticism. You don't over-celebrate success or over-mourn failure. You stay balanced, because you understand emotions are temporary, but discipline is eternal. The secret to emotional control lies in 3 principles. Observation over reaction. Before reacting to anything, pause. Observe. Ask yourself, what emotion is trying to control me right now? Logic over impulse. Never act at the peak of emotion. Wait until the storm fades, then decide with a calm mind. Purpose over pleasure. Don't chase what feels good. Chase what makes you grow. Follow these 3, and you'll see how quickly your life changes. The people who once provoked you will lose power. The situations that once broke you will become irrelevant. The distractions that once consumed you will vanish. Because you'll no longer be driven by emotion, you'll be driven by intent. That's when you become dangerous, when you can feel emotion, but choose not to display it. When you can feel fear, but move anyway. When you can feel pain, but use it as fuel instead of weakness. That's real control. And once you reach that level, nothing external can dominate you. No insult, no loss, no rejection, because the mind that controls emotion controls reality itself. Most people will never understand this. They'll say you're detached, they'll say you're unfeeling, they'll say you're emotionless. But what they call emotionless, you call discipline. What they call cold, you call clarity. What they call loneliness, you call focus. You don't need to explain your silence. You don't need to justify your calm, because the loudest minds rarely win. The calmest ones always do. So stop letting the world read you. Stop letting emotions decide your worth. Stop letting every mood shift define your path. You are not your emotions. You are the observer behind them. Once you realize that, you're free. You'll walk through chaos with stillness. You'll speak little but mean everything. You'll move with intent, and people will feel it without understanding why. That's emotional dominance, not loud, not dramatic, but powerful in silence. That's the secret of the psychopath's mind, not evil, not madness, but control. And that's what I want you to learn. Because in a world ruled by emotion, the one who remains calm will always rise above those who can't. So train your mind, watch your thoughts, guard your reactions, master emotion, and you master yourself, and you master the world.